very much for coming along again. This evening we may have a few people coming in a bit late because we did change the time to 6:45, but we know we had more registrations than this, so we may just have a few people coming in, but we want to kick off, so we'll do that. So I'm Stefan Brunner. I'm a parent volunteer, and I've been part of a vision and communications group, parent group, a mixture of people really, and I'd just like those people in the group who are in the room to stand up so that you can see them all. We've all been working together on this communications process. A well-deserved introduction because they've all put a lot of time into this. And this is Mark here, and we're co-facilitating tonight, Mark from the board. And so what we're going to do is begin with our verse, and if you'd like to pick up your verses, and please join in. I look into the world, wherein there shines the sun, wherein there gleam the stars, wherein there lie the suns, the plants they live and grow, the beasts they feel and live, and we to spirit give, a dwelling in our souls. I look into the soul that lives within my being, the Spirit of God who breathes in light of silence of soul, in world-wide space without, in depths of soul within. To you, O Spirit of God, will I beseeching turn, that gifts of strength and grace for learning and for work within me live and grow. Thank you. So, Mark, before we go further, do you want to say anything? Just introducing yourself.
Well, the only things that are important for me to say right now is that we've had 2 workshops so far, and if you're interested in the initial results of those workshops, you can see them on, there's 3 posters just by the door on your way out, so welcome to have a look at those. And the second thing is that we're in a learning process, and we're really interested in doing a better job of each workshop as we go. So if you can please fill out the feedback form before you go and leave it behind, then that would be wonderful.
Great. I see some familiar faces from our other workshops. Can I just have a show of hands of how many of you have been on any of our previous workshops? So that's the financial resilience and the communication, or a good smattering. So I'll try and I'll gloss over things a bit faster than I might in previous ones, but I'll need you all to fill anyone in if I gloss too fast. So I'll quickly go over the agenda for tonight. After my quick introduction, we're going to get on to the speakers. We've got Dee Whitby, we've got Karen Athlete, and we've got Anna Vanderpoel, and they're going to give the context setting for this so that we can then move into some group workshop. We know from our previous feedback everyone enjoys that and gets into some really meaty conversations. So we're going to spend a good chunk of time on that, and then we'll consolidate it as a group. So just moving on to the next slide, thanks. So on your tables when we do the group work later, there's an overview of the consultation process, and actually I've lost my train there. I'll overview the consultation process first, and then I'll talk about the guidelines. Just to let you know, of course, we've had the vision drafted, and we've also had the introductory sessions earlier where we had about 100 or so parents come along, and we're in the workshops, so we haven't ticked that one off yet. We've still got another 5 to go beyond this. But then the visioning team is going to come back together and take all that information that we've got from all the workshops and make sure that it all gels together, and we take the feedback on board and do any shaping of the vision. And there'll be a process after that of feeding back to the parents so that you can see what changes have been made and why. And after that integration process, of course, it then goes into the school planning processes and becomes part of the school and a guide for decision making, and gets embedded into the language of the school from there. And of course there'll be a celebration once it's finalised as well. So on to the guidelines. So there are some guidelines for these workshops that most of you will be familiar with. It is all about looking to the future and what we want to become, Michael Park. So it's really about ensuring that everybody pitches their feedback in a positive, constructive thing in terms of moving us forward to where we want to go. But each guideline is on the table. You will have one of the people who stood up earlier who's from the visioning group, a mixture of parents and people from the school and the board, who can help you with guiding each table, and also to take some of the feedback that you're going to give through the workshop, which will be distilled down to a few words and post-its, but they will have all that context on board that we can use to input into the plan. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dee Whitbeat.
Hello again, everyone. I see there are quite a few faces. There are a few of you I think must be feeling like you should just perhaps move beds into school. Certainly I felt a bit like that this morning. But I'm so glad to be able to just have the chance to talk to you about something that is really passionate and really close to my heart. So often I have to talk about national standards and finance, and tonight is just, this is my joy really. And isn't pedagogy the most deadly, awful word? For an inspiring education and for the fact that this is a career and a pathway and a vocation that teachers might have, to describe it as pedagogy, I'm sure that one of the things we could do as a visioning thing is come up with a much more exciting, inspiring word. Especially as we talk about inspiration and imagination and creation, we talk about what we're doing for the children. So I feel sorry for the teachers, that they have to wrestle with words like pedagogue and pedagogical, and they seem really heavy words. And I want to tell you that when I came into Steiner education at the ripe age of 23, my mentor told me that I'd be a very good Steiner teacher because I had very heavy pedagogical legs. And I think it was her way of telling me I wasn't light on my feet enough for doing rhythm and things like that. And I don't know why, I was just sitting here and I just suddenly remembered her and that comment to me. So what is pedagogy really? In any school, in any good school, you have a curriculum and you have a pedagogical approach. And the difference is the curriculum, and this is really basic language. Teachers, I know that we have much more refined language like learning intentions and learning outcomes and achievement objectives and all that. But basically, a curriculum is what you teach. What you teach, in the order you teach it, and you describe the experiences. The pedagogy is the approach, how you teach it, and why you teach it. And the fabulous thing about being in a Steiner school is that we have this magical curriculum, what we teach and when, and then you bring it together with the pedagogy, which is how and why, and you bring it together, and if you get that mix right, you have this magic spark called Steiner education. So, how do you try and frame 50 years, 100 years of real in-depth study? I study Steiner education over and over again. I have the experience of telling Mr. Lloyd a couple of weeks ago, I don't have a clue what this study means. You're just learning and developing. So I'm not standing here professing in 10 minutes to tell you what the pedagogy is, but I thought just some taste of what it really means. If you take away the beautiful wooden buildings that we're so blessed to teach in, and you take away the main lesson books, and you take away everything, and you look at what is the heart, what is the real crux of what we're about, we come from that anthroposophical impulse of working with the human being, working with that little human being in front of you. Now, when you're looking at that little 3-year-old that's coming to Rose Cottage, and then they're 4, and then they're 5, and then they're 6, and then you look at the high school at the top of the hill when we're ready to start booting them out into the real world, and they're 17 and 18, and they're already these young, remarkable adults. At each of those little stages is a different human being. And it needs a different thing. It needs a different way. It needs a different way of looking at the children. It needs a different approach. And so the pedagogy and the approach that we really try hard to achieve in a Steiner school is to be really conscious of what does it mean to be 5? What does it mean to be that 5-year-old playing out there and just living in that beautiful world and pulling out those frames and making those things? What does that mean about the way we approach them? What what does it mean when you're 6 years old? And I have the joy and the blessing to go into Jeanette's classroom. I keep invading her classroom. And you know that 6-year-old child that's driven by that sense of determination, and they want to show off, and they want to do well. It's, look at me, I can skip, this is me, look, I can skip, count for me. And this incredible, they're born with all these capacities of, they have joy for life. I sometimes think we don't really ignite the flame for learning. They're born with it, and our job is just to nurture it. And that's what being a pedagogical style teacher means. And then you look at them when they're 9 and they're a little bit lonely and they're a little bit sad. What does that mean? The teacher needs to be aware of that and to adjust the way they're teaching and to work with that and to make sure the children have experiences that meet where they are when they're 9. We don't give them experiences that are ready for a 14-year-old or talk to them, about things that they've got absolutely no relationship with. And so up until that 9-year-old period, the whole pedagogical approach is helping them make connections with the world, their real world. Not what we think is the real world. Our real world is that busyness and computers and televisions. A child's business, up until that age, is the real world of nature. Leaves, trees, flowers, just being real in the world. And so all the pedagogical things that we do, the curriculum, is designed to meet that need. The imagination, development of creativity. And then they turn 9 and they're more ready to start looking at themselves. And they should be. And so we change. We change the way we work with them. We give them more working things. We make it more real and conscious, and we get them to create things and build shelters and learn about the world of work. I love the fact that Rudolf Steiner said we should be teaching children to work. We don't want a whole bunch of lazy 18-year-olds at the end that can't pick a job and sit at home and sponge off you. We want them to be ready to get out in the world. Well, it starts when they're 9, and we make them work, and we put that pedagogy in there to show them actually your hands and your hearts and your eyes are actually there to serve. And then they move through, and then they get to 12. And 12-year-old, okay, fabulous. They know everything. They wish they were 19, and they think you know nothing. I used to say when my daughter was 12, living with the Taliban, don't dance, mum, don't sing, mum, don't speak, mum, I know it all. And that's what you want. They're starting to stretch their wings and say, I know. Isn't that fantastic? And we don't fight that. Our pedagogical approach is not to fight that. Of course we give them the boundaries and we teach them that you will respect elders and we expect that you will deal with the consequences. Thank you. And we teach them the pedagogical approaches to really give them those deep inner questions of history and geography and massive events in time. And then slowly they go into the high school where there are these young adults. And if you look at our class 12s, if ever you want to know why you're here for a starting education, I had the privilege today of sitting with a class 12 girl applying, and I know she's going to get into law school. And she'd written this essay about why. And she came and I thought, wow, this is the future. The world is actually in a great place with these young people who are going out. And that's what happens in the high school. That this pedagogical approach of going, we step back now, and we're here to still guide you, walk alongside you, but now you go out there and you take personal responsibility and you think about the world. And we're not going to give you low content and silly topics. We're going to make you think about archaeology, and we're going to make you think about revolutions, and we're going to make you think about the history of the world and the geography of the world, and to think about real science questions. We don't want you to learn about science and maths. We want you to be scientists and mathematicians and linguists, and to have the real grasp of all these subjects. So the idea is we're not turning out great human beings by the time they're 18. They're still little fledglings. They've got still to 25 and 40 and 50. And be like us, get to 53 and think I've still got so much to learn and develop. But the idea is that the pedagogical way we work with them, and sometimes it's tough with parents because you want to love and nurture. And we're saying, let them meet these journeys, let them meet the challenges. And so it just comes back, everything we do. And sometimes we lose our way, but the intent and the goodwill is there all the time. This little human being, this evolving, growing human being that carries the spirit and the intent for the future. That's our job. That's the pedagogy. And the buildings and the beautiful magnificent books, that's just a bonus. So in order to make a real human being, a human development curriculum work, and a real human being approach to our pedagogical thing, you need great human beings, and those are wonderful teachers. And so I hope that's kind of like TV that goes segue into you, Karen. So I'd like to call on Karen, please. And we are going to have Mr. Laurie is going to do one of those magical things. He's going to draw behind us. And so I'll hand it to you, Karen.
Most days I walk across the park from my house on Marlborough Road to the school, and the first view of the school that I get is the kindergarten grounds with our very large fences. And every day I look at it and I go, right, I'm really going to make sure we do something about those kindergarten grounds. And then I come around the corner and I can see the panorama of the school in front of me. A little bit of the auditorium, a glimpse of the lower school classes. Right over there I can see the technology block. Just behind that I can see the high school. And in that there's all of these amazing people arriving also at school. And I actually feel every day, even after, this is now my 17th year at Michael Park, I feel this experience of feeling privileged to be here. A great sense of gratefulness, for lack of a better word. And I'm grateful because I feel that there is really extraordinary parents here. And I feel that we have really extraordinary children. And we also are in a situation where we have extraordinary teachers. And that is something that we should celebrate and take a moment to enjoy as often as we can. We seem sometimes to take it for granted of the extraordinary people that we actually are with here in the school. And I often muse on how it is that we actually ended up here together. It's an interesting question of how such a group of people could come together, teachers, parents and children. And for parents and children, a lot of parents have reflected to me over the years that it's their children really who brought them here, who had them on the journey, that actually had them arrive at our door and found their way in. So it becomes a kind of a destiny connection between the child and the parent, and in a way the teacher that is going to be with them during those kindergarten years, the lower school years and into the high school years. And I think that at the bottom of it, at the very deepest level, this is also a matter of destiny and karma for the teachers who come into the school. That there is usually a strong destiny connection to be here. So what does that mean for our employment practices? You know, destiny, person specification has to have a destiny connection to Steiner education. That would be interesting, doesn't it? So do we put on there that they have to wear purple? Do they need to eat organic food? Do they need to be a card-carrying member of the Anthroposophical Society and be able to whip out the pink card at their interview? If we did that, there would probably be some very old teachers here from the society. And I'm not sure that the members of the society would nowadays really want to come and teach in the school, despite their lovely support for us. So it's a really interesting question, because Rudolf Steiner did actually talk at length about the connection and the teacher's relationship with the anthroposophical impulse that underlies the school. And in a way, it becomes a task of a teacher to develop and sustain a relationship with this impulse. And it is something that we would like for all teachers. But it is not usually the starting point with which teachers come into the school, nor is it usually your starting point for meeting the school. And I'm talking about myself as well in this way of looking at it. I thought that Rudolf Steiner education, after a term working in my first Rudolf Steiner school, was a mad place, a cult, and very strange. I got my first telling off for what I was doing with tea towels, my second telling off for feeding children peanut butter, and then my third telling off for the fact that I'd actually shaved my hair again with a number 1. And the question of whether or not steel-toed boots were really appropriate for a Steiner kindergarten teacher. I deeply have to confess that because I keep seeing all these beautiful new parents and beautiful new teachers coming into the school, and I see that they're on a journey. So just as much as you are on a journey, every teacher who teaches in this school is on a spiritual journey. Whether or not you like to always know that that's the case when you come in, or whether or not you're always conscious of it. So what is it that we look for when we're actually looking for a teacher in the school? Well, you don't have to pull out your pink card when you come to the interview, but Rudolf Steiner gave some really interesting indicators that I love to work with because I think it's right for this time and this age. And this is what he said. What is a real Steiner teacher? A real Steiner teacher. The teacher must be a person of initiative in everything that he does, great and small. The teacher should be one who is interested in the being of the whole world and of humanity. The teacher must never make a compromise within her heart and mind with what is untrue. The teacher must never get stale or grow sour. Cherish a mood of soul that is fresh and healthy. And I totally rejoice in the lovely new teachers that have come into our school in the last few years and the colleagues that I've worked with over a number of years, because I absolutely think they exemplify these qualities. Everybody that I work with. And then it becomes, so we have extraordinary people here, and we want them to become extraordinary teachers. So then it becomes a challenge of what we do together to care for them, to encourage them and to cultivate them from being fine people into very fine Steiner teachers. And the doing realm is the realm that I think that our work together needs to be in to make this possible. And who is we? I'm not talking about we the college, I'm not talking about we the board, I'm talking about we the community. We the community. And who is the community? It's actually not some group out there that's going to do things for you. It's not even the board and the trust who do so much for the life of the school. It's you and me as our own individuals deciding what we are going to do that actually allows teachers to grow into beautiful Steiner teachers. It's out in our doing and it's in our actions that that kind of care and that possibility comes about. What do teachers need? This is what I think, but you're going to tell us a bit more about it tonight from your point of view. They need to be wrapped in all the love and support and encouragement that is possible for them to receive from you. They're also, like you and like me, a failing human being and don't always get it right. But when they are really wrapped in support and love, then as a teacher, you are at your most inspired. You're at your most passionate, you are at your most hard-working, and you are also at your most open to allowing the pedagogy to become effective in your own soul life as a teacher. It's a destiny question, and that's an active thing, not a passive thing. So, what can we do to make teachers feel like this? What can we do as a school? What can we do as parents? What can we do as the board, the college, and as colleagues to teachers coming into our school? Maybe it's what we do here at school, maybe it's what we do out of school, even what we do at home. So this is a question, how do we do it? And we would like to hear from you what you think that support could look like.
2 minutes.
2 minutes, marvellous, thank you. Now, there's a beautiful lecture that Rudolf Steiner gave to parents, and there's not many lectures he gave to parents in Steiner schools, but there is one that I came across. And this is what he said, and I'd like to share it with you as final thoughts. We would like the parents of Waldorf school children to say, we are especially aware of our duty to educate human beings, and we would like to have our children make a contribution to humanity's great tasks in the 20th century. We want entrusting our children to the Waldorf school to be a social act of some consequence. The more strongly this becomes a part of our whole attitude, the better, says Rudolf Steiner. We have to depend on your attitude above all else. We cannot think much of detailed guidelines of how teachers are meant to act toward the parents and vice versa. We can not expect much from these guidelines, but we can expect a great deal from the meeting between teachers and parents that takes place with the right attitude, because we know that when people's attitudes relate to their inmost being, the attitudes turns into action, right down into the details of life.
Thank you. Anna, would you like to?
Could I now introduce Anna van der Pol? Anna is one of the most fantastic pedagogues that I've ever worked with. I had the very good fortune a very long time ago of training with Anna and then working with her for many years. When I don't know what to do even now, I still ask myself, what would Anna do? What's that? Yes, and so does Sally. And now Anna is a grandparent in our school after being a colleague for many years, and also looks after us in so many ways on the trust. Anna.
Thank you, Karen. I really do feel those words are undeserved. Thank you. And thank everybody else for coming this evening and supporting us in this process. Just a very brief word to you all, as a member of the Trust. We need, in the Trust, of course, to support all of you in the school and in our community. The children, the parents, the teachers. And we're always striving to do that as best we can. And of course, that's not always easy. We do what we are able to do, and over the years, we've supported the teachers and through them, the children and the parents, in many ways. We have supported education for the teachers with mentoring programs in the school, with enabling some teachers to be able to take newer teachers under their wing and guide them into the school. We've enabled teachers to go to conferences where they meet other teachers from Steiner schools in New Zealand and from other countries as well, and to listen to really inspirational talks and take part in workshops which involve a lot of practical work, which enlivens the teachers to do their work when they come back to our school. We're not only just here to look after teachers in Michael Park School, but we want to further Steiner education in the whole of New Zealand and further ashore as well, through the Federation. Members from the New Zealand community of teachers go overseas and are helping set up schools in many other countries. I've only got 5 minutes, so I can't talk for very long, but 2 minutes already. Gosh. So, and my maths is not that good, but anyway, I might have 3 minutes left. So, we've also supported through the Federation and also just from our school as well by releasing teachers to do this work, the setting up of education programs in New Zealand for teachers. We've supported Taruna. We've sent many of our teachers to Taruna. And then we've helped to develop, and some of our staff have given hours and hours, months and weeks to this, to develop the Massey course for Steiner teachers, the papers at Massey University. And then that blossomed, just like this magnolia is continuing to blossom, and the flowers are getting bigger and bigger every time I come in, to develop the AUT course. And there was a group of students here during the holidays with Karen and participating in that course. And they were so enthused and excited that was only supposed to be for 3 days, but they asked Karen, can we have another day? And they wanted to stay longer and spend more time here, because that's what this education does, and in the way people work together, not just out of the head, but truly from the heart. And that's what this education is all about, really. This journey of all human beings, right from the beginning, coming together and opening the windows of their hearts to each other so that the light can shine through. And that's what I'm asking all of you to do and to continue to do to help us do that work. And I think I must be up to, is that my 5 minutes? Because the Trust of course also supports, we put a lot of extra funding into the school wherever we can and as much as we can for the special programs in the school. The music, the handwork, the drama, the craft, the outdoor education, the eurythmy, everything that's extra to what the state funding supplies. And we're always thinking about how we can do it better and what we can do next. So thank you all, and I hope you enjoy the workshop part.
So here comes the second part, the workshop part. Thank you, Anna. I do want to acknowledge the trust. We're really blessed. Amongst, I think, all summer schools in New Zealand, we have a trust that really is the most committed to supporting our teachers and the national work. And I just want to say to you, one of the things that you can do to support the education, support teachers, you're going to come up with your own ideas, but I just want to put a bit of an idea here, is that Tricia, along with a whole lot of the other members of the Anthroposophical Society, has brought the annual Anthroposophical Conference into the heart of Michael Park School. And we're very lucky that last year, this year, next year, and hopefully into the future, it's held here in Michael Park School. So I want to encourage you all, come in September in the holidays, come to a lecture, come to courses, even if you just come for one session, and you'll have an opportunity to be really in the heart of what it is we do and why we do it. What is that foundation? So if you need to know anymore, I'm sure Trish will go to, sorry Trish, I was putting it over Wes. So you could pay, a little bit of money, go down the road and have, the same education as so many other hundreds of thousands of children around New Zealand. But a lot of you are sacrificing, a lot of you are making that commitment and crossing that threshold to give your child a sound education. And we only have the children for 1/3 of the time. And it seems to me that unless for the other 2/3 of the time that your child is with you, you're doing things at home and you're doing whatever you can to support what we're trying to do at school and to support the education, you're not going to get the end result in the best possible way. So that means when you know the child is in class 1, your little one's hearing beautiful fairy stories, that moment in class 1, you don't let your child sit and watch that video and you're not going to forget it, teachers. Delete the blue people. What's the blue people movie? Avatar. So yes. But class 1, the child's hearing that beautiful fairy story, and when they come home, what is going to happen at home for that child? Are they going to sit and watch Avatar, or are you going to read them a story? What is happening when they're in class 6 and they need to do their homework and they're being consequence? Are you going to come in and save them, or are you going to learn that, support the teachers and support the education? So we've got 3 simple tasks for you to do tonight. The first is on each table you see one of John's beautiful pictures. I mean, isn't he the talented magical here? What we want you to do is first... Well, I shall tell you, today he drew a picture of a person with no clothes. And there's a lot of rudeness in the staff room, so you're very lucky to decide. There was he called it a crinkle on the paper, we called it something else right there. So he has dressed the lovely picture we've got. So what we want you to do, please, we need you to help us, and we're hoping this will help strike a memory for you. On this piece of paper, in your small groups, the first thing we want to ask is just to tell your recorder, why did you choose to start education? And it's not a judgment. Why did you come here? I didn't become a teacher for any devocational thing. I just wanted to get married. It was the only way my father would let me get married. He said, go and be a teacher. So no judgment, seriously. So we really just want to know, why have you chosen to study education? and maybe why you're staying here. You know, what is it you came for, maybe one reason why you stay, and what is it that you really want for your child? Each of you've got different children. And if you could just put these on these pictures of this beautiful picture, and that's going to go up now. Well, just for everyone to share and see, you know, what is that picture of our community, why we came here. So that's your first task, the first talking point. And then, and I believe about the second one, but
on that first one,
yes,
we know that to be also why you chose to teach Stone Education.
yes, the teacher's mind. Yes. Why did you choose Stone Education when you're a parent or a teacher? Good point. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So the first one is just really no discussion. Just put out there for your group why you came here. And what, if you've got a child, what is it you're looking for your child? The second one is around this whole question of your child is receiving this education and you've got teachers delivering the education. What is it? What are the ideas you can come up with that how can you support the education and how can you support the teachers delivering the education? And that you're going to write on little post-its, pick one colour and put that on one sheet. And your facilitator's got these list of questions so you don't have to remember. But we just want to know, what are your ideas for how you can support your child at home, and how can you support the teachers so that you're getting the benefit of this education?
So Dee, on that one, maybe if you are a teacher, you can just put down how you would like to be supported.
This is your moment, teachers.
Yeah, it's going to be a really great discussion if we mix the teachers with the parents.
Teachers know, they come prepared here to spread themselves around. And then the last question, and you've got your timing, is how can we help you be better able to support the education? What is it you need from us in order to help you support the education? So we're asking you to contribute something. We would like to know what you need from us. Okay? And then if you could just choose just for the last two questions, the three top ideas, your speaker will come down and we'll take turns to share them with everyone. So unless your facilitators know what to do, unless you have particular questions, you just get going.
There's tonight we've chosen, I think Mary could say 7? Six. There's 6 tables, if you could please go to one of the 6 tables. One, if you haven't been here before, that's your first workshop. One's down here. And they're all here. And there's one actually up in the very top, so please do find your way to the top because it's not so easy to see. Go up the stairs. Also, I've had a little bit of a logistical issue. I didn't get the order in for the post-its in time. And if you're low on post-its, please just use the paper on your table.
So it's about 6 per table? Tables of 6?
Yeah, more than 6, it's a bit hard sometimes.
Yeah. Just do keep an eye out for the one that's kind of up the top of the stairs.
One time management thing. So you have 40 minutes, and we know from previous experience that it's quite an enjoyable process, and that there is some reluctance to come back and hear again. So please don't. Please try not to give way to that enthusiasm when we get to the 40-minute mark and bring it back in here.
Right, thanks everybody. I could see everybody was engrossed, so we thought it would be a really good idea to give you a little bit of extra time. So thank you all for that input there. We're not going to go through this piece on that first question that you've just completed, but what you can do if you'd like to afterwards is that you can come up and just have a bit of a read. You know, I'm sure there are some common themes that came out through the group. So what we're going to do in terms of focusing on capturing some of the question feedback, we're going to focus on the second and the third questions one at a time. So the first question, I'll just try and find where that was. So the question 2 that we're going to look at right now, and there was a top 3 that you're asked to do in your groups. So I'm just wanting your top 3, and for the spokesperson, if you could put your hand up if you're the spokesperson for your group, that'll help me. Here. Okay. And we'll just go around in a bit of a circle, getting one idea from you at a time, putting it up, one question at a time. Okay.
Just before we start, can I have one volunteer who's got nice clear writing and can write reasonably quickly to help me capture the ideas, because it just speeds the process up a bit.
Do you want us to hand you the post-its out here? Or is that not working?
If you've already got them written, then great.
Oh, if you've got, if they're clear. Okay, good.
Wonderful. Okay, so bring your post-its up.
Okay, post.
So, question 2 was, how can you support your child receiving the education and the teachers delivering the education? So, we had one down here.
Well, we're just pointing down there.
Down here.
You guys are going to line up.
Inter-parent support started early and started strong.
Wonderful.
Inter-parent support started early and started strong, parent to parent.
Thank you. I'll go round. Where was the next one?
Actually, can you say that? It's just for a second, we're going to say this and say this in a second.
Yes, I can. Sorry. Inter-parent support started early and started strong.
Okay.
Before people even get here.
Wonderful. Thank you. Over here?
I suppose the issue is we actually have a lot of those kind of things, but it's all but under the heading of
supporting the community to embrace STANA education.
Did everyone get that? Okay. In the middle here?
Being actively present and involved in the community.
Do you get it? Oh, active, present, and involved.
Involved in the community.
Sorry.
Now do you get to come over? We said align a practice at home that mirrors the values of STANA education. And just a little sub-theme for that was because it was noted that it creates security for a child when the world at home is also the world that reflects the world at school.
Just bring out if you're not hearing some of this too, because we'll... Up the back, we got one? Or is that...
There's one here.
Sorry, down here.
Something similar to the mirror at home, that is supporting the curriculum and education, still educating ourselves, appropriate stories, and bringing the elements of festivals in at home.
And here, sorry. I missed
No
you.
problem. Along with home, we had also having rhythm in the home.
Having rhythm in the home. Cool. Thank you.
And we have alignment of home environment with developmental curriculum and special character, same as everybody else.
A lot of commonality coming through. That's wonderful. How about you again?
Pretty much the same. Reinforcing learning and values at home for consistency.
Thank you. And over here?
Learning about STANA education with your children. So we've got a whole lot of things here, and it's all to do with festivals and embracing all those things into our homes and what we do.
So it's learning about STANA education with your children.
Yeah, so growing with them, learning as they grow.
So going on that journey with them.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Over here?
We have, we have respect that was mentioned many times in our group. For instance, food, health, medication, all of anthroposophy is a lifestyle. Please respect the STANA approach even if you don't do it.
Sorry, I missed you.
Oh, maybe?
Yeah, definitely. We've got trust and transparency working together, not as a community.
Yeah, we have protecting from outside influence, so that's about technology and honouring lifestyle recommendations.
Right, get that protecting from outside influence. And down the front again. If you don't, have you got a third? Or that's part of the top three?
We had a whole question.
So we finished the second question. We will-
Has anyone got any more in their top three? Yep, over here.
I suppose it's building building the community and the bonds and all that through social events.
Social events, yep.
So
Building the
whole
bonds.
Things, we include things like working bees as social events.
Yeah, yeah. Great.
And the fear, of course, and again, just the working together, that all helps, those bonds between the parents and us.
Yeah, absolutely. Have we got any more on the top three? One more?
I don't have so many the next one. Or we'd add up 6 in the end, like I was saying, like I do. Fostering spiritualities, the spiritual impulse of the school is a spiritual community.
Thank you. I like that one from over here. Thank you.
Okay, so we covered that one in terms of top threes. Right, so we'll move on to question number 3, which was
I think something like something to do with the second part.
Sorry, we did the second part separately.
Well,
We did the child.
Can you go back to the 3 questions on the thing so we can remember where we're
Yeah.
at? 'Cause we've got a lot of post-it notes. We
Sorry.
don't have that on our
So
table.
some groups of them
And you?
do support the teachers separately.
This one?
Yeah.
okay. Sorry, is there someone who's got about supporting the teachers separately?
Yes.
Okay. Fire away, somebody said yes.
Okay, we had, we could, as parents, we could offer practical help, backing teachers, trust and respect, understanding the curriculum and giving practicing attitude. What's that? Thanks. Thanks.
He's sneaked in 4.
So, can I just check with this question just from a numbering point of view? What is the question we're dealing with now? Is this
1.2? And did you do that as well over here?
Sorry?
Did you guys do that as well?
What?
Do the teachers separately?
Well, we did actually, we did find it really hard to separate the two things. We found they merged quite a lot, but there are some clear things, for us. So one of the other things that's come out here is to be educated yourself, and we thought possibly through book clubs and recommended reading lists and things like that. So that's what we thought.
We had a discussion, we tried to do, if we did all these things, you would actually be supporting the teachers.
Yeah.
I mean, if you live at home, you're going to be, it's the, as you were talking about, that continual thing, that would be the best way that we could support teachers.
Wonderful, thank you. Is there anyone else?
Yep, so we did that. We did break it into 2. We had one for the teacher, was trust in the teacher that she or he is doing the best for the child.
Yeah.
That's one. And I'm going to see from the what Karen did. Meet on the level, meet the teacher on the level that we are both here for this child. So have that available both here for the child. And then the qualities, we had at the very, very end, we decided that in fact there were things that weren't restricted, that there were qualities to carry, and that to work for the teacher and the parent were inclusive, caring, non-judgmental, and allowing to be free.
Thank you. Have we captured number 2 yet? Please sing out if we haven't. Otherwise we'll move to 3. You happy there? So question 3 is, how can we help you to be better able to support the education? So your top 3 for that, please. Would you like to start?
I'm not sure we've answered it quite right.
There's no wrong answers here.
Okay. Really good class parents, a strong classroom community, that would make a huge difference.
Yeah.
And then the other one is clear special character guidelines, expectations before enrolment, and somebody used the beautiful word commitment, and that really resonated. That's done with this. Thank you.
That's it for you. Okay.
We had transparency.
Yeah. Transparency in what way?
As far as knowing what's happening in the school. So someone has said also about main lessons, to know what your child's actually learning so they can support it at home.
Yeah.
And knowing what's happening, like I know from a kindergarten point of view, I have no idea what happens in the upper school or lower school.
Yeah,
It would be nice to kind of know more about the school and what's happening, because your child is headed there.
great.
And we also had someone suggested a parent room that could also be about Steiner education, so you would have walls, and then parents could go there and meet and actually learn from each other,
Right.
instead of just the parent education.
Love that.
It was a parents' room, sorry. The idea was a parents' room where a parent could come in and resources and meet each other
Parents together, and then also to use it as education,
Yeah,
an education
to meet-
space.
in educational space for parents. Cool.
We said that we could help by encouraging our teachers to tell us what they needed from us and from the community and how they can be best supported.
Yeah,
The other was to know more about the world of the teachers, because as parents, we all have jobs. For our teachers, this is their job, and we've actually got no clue quite. I mean, we understand that they're under a lot of pressure, but I think it might help us to actually see the amount of pressure and what they're doing outside of when they're teaching our children, because we really need to appreciate where they're coming from, I think, to help and understand and support them.
yeah.
And we've got another topic here, which is parent education, even in small groups with parents with falls in line.
Yeah. Yeah. Did everyone get that?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, here's
Well, we had, I guess, well, two things that haven't been said, because you've got parent education already, to learn more about parent education, and on a kind of sub-thing, we said particularly at moments of the threshold, like year 5 and high school, different times, so that if the community could be putting together lots of talks of parental support at the thresholds. Do you want me to say this one?
no,
Good.
keep going.
Then communicating, we basically, correct me in my group here, but we basically know a lot about community, feeling that we are part of the community, being responsible for that by reflecting on ourselves. Are we actually judging a teacher, or could we find a way to communicate this to resolve this, and remembering that we're part of the community? And our education program, we actually talked about at the end to a vision of education programs for teachers and parents together. So we've mentioned parent education, but we recognized that earlier in the talk with Karen that often a lot of teachers come here also not knowing as much about anthroposophy and Steiner education. So we hope there would be an education for us together.
Right. Okay, thank you.
We have something I think that's been mentioned already, but that the interview process and maybe even kind of contract around kind of expectations, and the point of that is to protect the environment, so it's something that needs to be protected. And out of that comes support for parents not watching TV, so things like, just a feeling of authority from the school and from kind of guidelines. But what comes out of that is also understanding that parent situations are sometimes different, and that the whole family might not always agree, or their grandparents or something, so there's also having understanding around that. And a clear handbook, but also broken down for each year, so as you're going into a new class, you know what to expect, not just from the curriculum, but also what's appropriate in terms of behaviours such as sleepovers or pocket money.
I guess, I think those who were on the communications workshop will see immediately a lot of similar themes coming through this one really well, so that's great. Have we captured it all for number 3 now? We've got
one here that we thought was very helpful in our group, and the suggestion was to have a mentor system within the school that helped new parents integrate in and find out all about what it is to expect as a new parent, and not be so scared of coming to events and which event is important to come to, and all of that kind of thing. So we thought a mentor from within the school would be really good, within the parent community, or within teachers mentoring each other, whatever.
okay, mentoring group. Have we got now to run up the back?
One thing that I'm not really aware of, I assume that the different Steiner schools in New Zealand talk to each other, and if
we don't necessarily know those things are really good. So when you come into the school from another school and you see something really good, then it would be great if you can say, hey, this is really good.
So
it's a parent job.
So you need a suggestion box in your parents' room,
Yeah.
or an ideas station, where new ideas can constantly be evolving.
So perhaps this is a good time to tell you about a collaborative piece of work. Some of you will have already received it, that all the schools got together and we created the New Zealand Federation set of, we didn't want to call them special characters, they're curriculum guidelines, and we've got a copy for each of you to take home, and it's what all the New Zealand starting schools have agreed to will be our non-negotiables. And we've done this so that if anybody's ever again a national status thing. Now we haven't got national status in this one, but it is coming, and it's been ratified and accepted by all schools. And what happens now, going forward to the future, when you're a new parent and you sign, I agree to support the special character of the school, you're going to get this first, and you need to read this, and when you sign that, we can say to you, well, actually, that's what you agreed to. So all these ideas you come up with, what we hope to do is build our local picture to build up on that. But we've made you a copy for you to take home, and if anybody says to you, why don't you have television in school, you go, hang on, you can get out the Star Bible. See, if there's anything in there that falls, anything you think of, well, why is this not here? We really want ideas. And we're off to the Federation meeting in a couple of weeks where we're going to be reviewing it. And it'll be a good moment. If there's something that you think should be in there, the why do we do things. And clearly we've got to put everything in there, but these are the non-negotiables for the principals. So a copy for everyone in the natural farewell present, I suppose. And Anna's going to do a farewell report.
Just one thought before we go there is that one of the challenges that we have after these workshops is to try and understand the picture that's made out of all of these ideas. And there is a picture in here. And I think that if anybody has energy for it, a real interest in that kind of thing, I think just feel free to come down here and arrange them. It doesn't need to be perfect. Work is going to get done after this anyway. But if you do have enthusiasm and interest for that, it will only allow just a few minutes, 5 or 10 minutes or something. But you're welcome to do that if you feel moved to do so. You're just interested and curious.
And you will be welcome, of course. We'll turn it around so that you can see the work on the front as well, everybody's work if you wish. But no, I'd like to come and say a few words.
Well, it's hard to have closing thoughts for me, because things just go on and on, don't they? Yeah. But I'd just like to say we're all in it together. We're all here together. Listen and be patient and be kind and carry on and we'll all try to do our best every day. And I think that's all I can say just now. So thank you.
Okay, we're just going to say the verse shortly, but just... Sorry? Oh, unanswered questions. If you've got some questions following this that are on your mind and haven't been answered tonight, you can actually write it up yourself or get one of us and we'll write it for you, because we realise within a time frame of a workshop you can't necessarily address everything. But of course you may recognise some of the faces in the visioning team as well, and you can always feed through questions through that avenue.
Can I just ask further to that, because that one sheet, I know that there are some of us that have come tonight having filled out the form that was given to the introductory,
Yeah.
that's actually commenting on the vision that was included in there.
Yes.
Would you like us just to hand over that rather than trying to would that be accepted as well?
That would be fine, absolutely. And the other key fact is to remember the feedback forms. We'd love to keep improving these workshops, so don't forget to have a go at that before you go. But just thanks very, very much for your participation and your loyal support. We've got so many people coming back and back again. We've got kindergarten here, so that's wonderful. So if you'd like to join me in the verse, just to close.